and I will finish what you started.
So, after months of waiting since Telltale's demise, we were waiting to see maybe if another studio was going to come up out of its ashes, or if Skybound Games was going to completely take over a bunch of their IPs. And I think we've finally gotten that answer today. Yesterday, we've gotten some breaking news. Now, if you were not really on Twitter or on social media that much yesterday, you may have missed this. But a new studio called AdHoc Studio, or AdHoc Studio, was formed by several Telltale employees, and they officially begun yesterday. And they are interactive, story-based, and they tweeted the following: "Thanks for the love, folks. We'll have more exciting news to share soon." And a lot of people think there is a possibility that they could be bringing back The Wolf Among Us, and maybe some other Telltale tales that never got finished. Maybe even if Skybound Games doesn't take up the obligation to do Walking Dead interactive stories, that they could end up doing it. Possibility of Walking Dead future seasons. We'll talk about this probably once the Walking Dead final season's 4th episode concludes, and I think we'll probably get news about, what they're going to be doing in the coming months. But again, I'm very interested to see what happens with that. So let me know what you guys think about this down below in the comments. We're going to talk about an article. We're going to go through an article here in this video. So I hope you guys enjoy, and let's get straight into the article explaining AdHoc Studios. Former Telltale devs form AdHoc Studio, continue adventure game legacy. By The Variety, and I'll throw a link to this down below in the description if you guys want to check it out. So, the death of Telltale Games left a vacuum, and the game industry is starting to figure out how to best fill it. While Skybound is carrying The Walking Dead the final season to its conclusion, what happens next for the franchise and games like it is a question mark. And they're talking about The Walking Dead here immediately, so I'm just feeling the hints a little bit about maybe this could be the studio that could continue after Clementine's story wraps up. A team of 4 Telltale alumni recently founded AdHoc Studio to carry the interactive narrative torch into the future. 3 members of the team departed Telltale in February 2017 and joined Ubisoft to work on an unannounced project. AdHoc CEO Michael Choung spent time at Night School Studio after he left Telltale in 2016. Telltale's history of crunch and long hours may have had his hand in the creation of AdHoc Studio, as the team tells it. According to Nick Herman, AdHoc's chief operating officer, the first discussion of striking out of their own came during a late-night conversation at Telltale. The team had long dreamed of taking interactive narrative beyond what they were doing at the now defunct studio, to do what would require a smaller group willing to take risk. So Dennis Lyman and Herman, former Telltale creative directors, and Pierre Choret, a former director of writing, had hopes of forming a new studio at Ubisoft. Unfortunately, that didn't come to fruition, so the trio teamed back up with Choung to build something original on their own. Having to pitch something that's ultimately 50 people need to understand and improve means a lot of more adventurous and risky, often die early on for a bunch of different reasons, risky ideas. Liner, AdHoc's chief technology editor, tells Variety, "We like the idea that if it is just the 4 of us, we'd be able to move confidently, wade into unfamiliar water." So they continue to talk about, how Telltale's demise had formed with this. And yes, I remember, a couple of these people from Telltale, they ended up leaving right before all the hullabaloo started. I mean, it was already getting bad, but they left right before, things got really bad. So AdHoc is targeting the same kind of audience that latched onto Bandersnatch. Streaming television and film viewers are a ripe target, with 139 million Netflix subscribers and 29 million on Hulu. It's the group that AdHoc sees as primed for the work it wants to create. And now to say, "We feel now is the perfect time to form a studio that focuses on creating content for a new space." And again, they continue to talk about people are holding on to their favorite television shows and films in their hands, so what we've understood purely audio-visual experience are now also haptic by default. And they go on to continue, AdHoc isn't ready to discuss its first project or who it's partnering with just yet. There's a possibility they could be partnering with The Walking Dead, Wolf Among Us, Batman. We could have old titles back now, but no promises on that. Again, I'm interested to see what Skybound Games does with The Walking Dead after the final season. I don't know. It's very interesting to see. Maybe Skybound Games will, again, how Telltale handed the torch to Skybound Games. Skybound Games may hand the torch to AdHoc Studios to continue The Walking Dead. Even though Clementine's story will be over, maybe they can be the ones to do it. I still think Skybound Games will be the one to continue it, but you never know. But however, the team is strongly hinting that its first project will be an interactive live-action experience, while full-motion video games aren't anything revolutionary. That segment has experienced a small renaissance thanks to Sam Barlow's story, and it talks about just shows in that. And all 4 of AdHoc's founders have backgrounds in television and film. Talking about that. And again, we'll have more to say about it in the near future. But for that, they talk about their project. We're really excited about what we're doing and who we're working with. And that's a hint at a project that we'll have more to say about in the near future. So they already got some projects planned. So that's awesome. And it's that connection to a broader audience that motivated AdHoc to start with interactive narrative. Their time at Telltale help clarify the opportunities and challenges that exist when laying out the welcome mat for those who do not typically identify as part of the core gaming audience. And I'd like to see that. So they talk about The Walking Dead here. Telltale's Walking Dead was revolutionary, winning numerous Game of the Year awards, but the studio started to see a diminishing return from the adventure genre it helped revitalize, despite a variety of different licensed intellectual properties such as Batman, Guardians of the Galaxy, Wolf Among Us, Game of Thrones, Minecraft, etc. Compelling characters and snappy writing. The samey gameplay kept Telltale from evolving its offerings in the last years, and you could tell basically the churn and burn, how they kept throwing out games that people weren't interested in. And I think the genre's repetition is largely deserved, says Choung. Luckily, we've had the good fortune of working on titles that are cited as exceptions to the rule. Games are just really difficult to make, and more often than not, devs end up having to prioritize in ways that aren't conclusive to a great narrative. For us, the narrative is the game. Just the small difference in priority should yield interesting results. And the AdHoc team was only to say much about the reasons for departing Telltale. And I think when we look back at our time, and the memories are mostly happy ones, Herman says, but at a certain point, you just get the sense that the party's over and it's time to move on. So despite remaining largely quiet about their time at Telltale, there's a sense that the AdHoc team wants to correct one of the biggest complaints about Telltale's senior management. The studio, especially under co-founder Kevin Bruner, we've talked about him before, had a reputation of stifling creative talent to the point that people like The Walking Dead, Jake Rudd, and Shane Vanneman opted to leave. So you notice again, this is a big point of emphasis I also want to bring up. A lot of the old Walking Dead writers left because of him. Left because of old management. And who knows how The Walking Dead would be so much more different. Maybe Season 3 would have been a whole lot better had, Kevin Bruner's management not absolutely thrown Telltale into the absolute dirt. But we're not going to get into all that. I've talked about that before. Working at Telltale for a long bit, you get kind of stuck in thinking that you're only working on this very brand of specific choice games. Between the four of us, we've gone into work for both AAA and indie studios since. And what we've found is a lot we've learned that Telltale still applies to a much broader set of experiences. And games are a series of choices. The trick is making them meaningful. Sometimes those decisions impact the moment-to-moment gameplay, like picking the right weapon or skill upgrade for a situation. Others drive the narrative, fostering deeper relationship. Wow, and AdHoc sees choice of the heart at the games that develops the plan. This could be maybe, again, out of all the bad Telltale did at its end, maybe this is the light at the end of its tunnel, where this studio could maybe be that interactive story studio that Telltale could never be at its end. And, well, that's not the cards right at launch. Choung doesn't want to pigeonhole AdHoc Studio to the idea. He simply says, let's not rule anything out to, first-person shooters, action games, narrative. A lot of possibilities. But there's a lot to divulge in this, And I think that they are making the right decisions, and it sounds like these people know what they're doing, and I'm excited to see what their first project is. Whatever it may be, interactive story. Could it be some old Telltale one? We don't know, but let me know what you guys think of this down below in the comments. I'll throw a link to their Twitter also down below in the description. You want to go follow them and go support them. Again, I think we should support them as much as they can because they are pretty much the remnants of Telltale. So, If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you smack a like, hit that sub. Let me know what you guys think about this, and what about they could be doing for the future. What would you like to see it for interactive stories and all that? And do you think they may continue The Walking Dead or Wolf Among Us or Batman or some other kind of game? And I'll catch y'all in the next video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.